Fellow gardeners, let me share something that transformed my carrot game forever. After years of pulling up disappointing stubby carrots that looked nothing like the magnificent specimens I dreamed of growing, I discovered the underground secret that changed everything. Today, I'm pulling carrots from my garden that measure over a foot long, perfectly straight, and so sweet they could pass for candy. The difference isn't magic, expensive fertilizers, or some rare heirloom variety. It's understanding what's happening beneath the surface that most gardeners completely overlook. The carrot conundrum. Why yours aren't massive? Picture this. You've carefully planted your carrot seeds, waited months with anticipation, and harvest day finally arrives. You grab those feathery green tops, pull with excitement, and up comes a stubby, forked disappointment that looks more like a gnarled finger than the magnificent orange torpedo you envisioned. Sound familiar? You're not alone in this frustration, and more importantly, you're not doing anything fundamentally wrong with your basic gardening practices. The real culprit behind those underwhelming carrots isn't your watering schedule, fertilizer choice, or even the variety you selected. Most gardeners focus on what they can see above ground, the lush green tops, the spacing between plants, the timing of their harvest. But carrots are root vegetables, and their destiny is determined entirely by what's happening in that dark, mysterious world beneath the soil surface. The widespread misconception that keeps gardeners stuck in a cycle of disappointing harvests is treating soil like a simple container for roots, rather than understanding it as a complex ecosystem that either supports or sabotages your carrot dreams. When you see those prize-winning, foot-long carrots at farmers markets or in gardening magazines, you're not looking at the result of superior seeds or secret fertilizers. You're witnessing the power of soil that's been prepared to function as the perfect underground highway for unrestricted root development. Every fork, every stubby end, every woody texture in your current carrots is your soil telling a story about barriers, compaction, and missed opportunities for creating the ideal growing environment. Here's where most gardening advice gets it completely wrong. Everyone talks about feeding your soil with compost and fertilizer, but they're missing the most critical factor: soil structure. Think of your carrot root as an underground explorer, constantly pushing downward and outward in search of water and nutrients. In compacted soil, this exploration becomes an exhausting battle against resistance, forcing the root to take shortcuts, branch out in unexpected directions, or simply give up and stop growing. The secret to colossal carrots lies in creating what I call fluffy soil, earth that's so well aerated and loose that a carrot root can slice through it like butter. When soil particles are properly spaced with plenty of air pockets, roots don't just grow, they thrive, extending deeper and straighter than you ever thought possible. This isn't about adding more organic matter, though that helps. It's about fundamentally changing the physical architecture of your growing medium. Compacted soil creates a domino effect of problems that goes far beyond simple root restriction. When soil particles are pressed tightly together, water pools instead of infiltrating evenly, creating alternating zones of drought and waterlogging that stress your plants. Oxygen, which roots desperately need for healthy development, can't penetrate dense soil layers, leading to weak, stunted growth. Even worse, compacted soil becomes a breeding ground for fungal diseases and creates an environment where beneficial soil organisms struggle to survive. So, the transformation really begins with understanding that soil structure is dynamic, not permanent. Every step you take in your garden, every time you work the soil when it's too wet, and every season you leave pathways unprotected, all of these actions, they either build or destroy the very foundation your carrots depend on. Creating fluffy soil means, well, thinking like an underground architect, designing spaces that let roots travel effortlessly while still maintaining the stability that plants need for support. The mycorrhizal magic, your secret allies. Now here's the game-changing secret that most gardeners never learn about. You're not growing carrots alone. Beneath the surface, there's an invisible network of fungal partners just waiting to supercharge your root development, but only if you know how to invite them to the party. Mycorrhizal fungi form one of nature's most beneficial partnerships with plant roots, creating a living internet of nutrient exchange that can multiply your carrot's ability to access water and minerals by several 100%. These microscopic allies attach to your carrot roots and extend thread-like structures called hyphae far beyond where the root itself could ever reach. Think of it as giving your carrot a vastly expanded root system, without the plant having to invest its own energy in growing those extensions. The fungi receive sugars and carbohydrates from your carrot in exchange for delivering hard-to-access nutrients like phosphorus, trace minerals and water from distant soil zones. This partnership is so powerful that plants with healthy mycorrhizal relationships consistently outperform those without them, often showing dramatic improvements in size, disease resistance, and overall vigor. The beauty of this relationship is that you don't need to buy expensive inoculants or special products to encourage it. Mycorrhizal fungi occur naturally in healthy soil ecosystems, but modern gardening practices often work against them without us realizing it. Excessive tilling destroys their delicate hyphal networks, synthetic fertilizers can suppress their development, and soil compaction creates conditions where they can't thrive. By working with these natural processes instead of against them, you're essentially recruiting an army of underground workers dedicated to helping your carrots achieve their maximum potential. Encouraging mycorrhizal development means adopting a more hands-off approach to soil management that initially feels counterintuitive to many gardeners. Instead of frequently disturbing the soil, you create stable environments where fungal networks can establish and expand. Rather than flooding your soil with readily available synthetic nutrients, you provide organic matter that feeds the fungi, which in turn feeds your plants more efficiently than any fertilizer program could achieve. The spacing of your carrot seeds determines whether you'll harvest a few colossal specimens or a crowd of competing runts. Most gardeners plant their carrots too thickly, then thin them inadequately, creating an underground competition that guarantees mediocre results. Each carrot plant needs sufficient soil volume to develop its full potential, and when roots are forced to compete for the same nutrients and space, they all suffer. Proper thinning feels almost wasteful when you're pulling up perfectly healthy young plants, but this sacrifice is what separates average gardeners from those who grow trophy carrots. The ideal spacing allows each remaining carrot to access a cone-shaped volume of soil that extends well beyond its immediate root zone. This means thinning more aggressively than most guides suggest, leaving what initially seems like too much space between plants. Trust the process. Those gaps will be filled by the expanding root systems of your remaining carrots as they grow into the colossal specimens you're aiming for. Watering carrots correctly requires understanding that consistency matters far more than quantity. Irregular watering creates stress cycles that force roots to adapt in ways that compromise their growth pattern and texture. When soil alternates between dry and saturated, carrots develop woody cores, split skins, and irregular shapes as they struggle to manage fluctuating water availability. The goal is maintaining steady moisture levels that allow roots to grow at a consistent pace without experiencing the feast or famine cycles that characterize most home gardens. Deep, infrequent watering encourages carrots to develop the long, straight roots you want, while frequent shallow watering keeps roots near the surface where they're more likely to fork and branch. The timing of your watering matters too. Early morning applications allow plants to take up moisture before the day's heat increases their stress levels, while evening watering can promote fungal problems in humid climates. Understanding your local climate patterns and adjusting your watering schedule accordingly makes the difference between carrots that survive and carrots that truly thrive. So, the moment of truth finally arrives when you get to see what months of proper soil preparation and careful tending have produced. Harvesting colossal carrots, well, it really does require a different approach than just pulling out your average-sized roots. These substantial specimens need more careful handling to avoid any damage and, to make sure you can enjoy every inch of your success. Honestly, the satisfaction of pulling a foot-long, perfectly straight carrot from soil that releases it easily is one of gardening's greatest rewards. But timing and technique really make all the difference in achieving that perfect harvest experience. Knowing when your carrots have reached their peak requires looking beyond the calendar dates on seed packets and, honestly, just paying attention to the subtle signs your plants provide. The shoulder of the carrot, that's the top portion that often shows above the soil line, gives you valuable information about the size and development of the hidden portion below. When those shoulders reach the diameter you want, and the foliage remains healthy and vibrant, you're in the optimal harvest window. Waiting too long can result in woody cores and bitter flavors, while harvesting too early means missing out on the full-size potential you've worked so hard to achieve. The physical technique of harvesting large carrots differs significantly from pulling smaller ones. Loosening the soil around each plant before attempting to pull prevents breakage and ensures you extract the entire root intact. Working when soil moisture levels are optimal, damp but not waterlogged, makes the process easier and reduces stress on both you and the plant. The gentle twisting motion while pulling helps carrots release from the soil without snapping, and having the right tools nearby means you can carefully excavate any particularly stubborn specimens without losing your prize to impatience. Once you've successfully harvested your colossal carrots, proper handling preserves their quality and extends their storage life significantly. Brushing off excess soil without aggressive washing, trimming tops to about an inch above the crown, and allowing them to dry briefly before storage ensures these magnificent specimens maintain their peak flavor and texture. The pride of sharing photos of your success with fellow gardeners is matched only by the incredible eating experience of carrots that have achieved their full genetic potential through your skilled cultivation. Ready to transform your carrot growing game forever? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our deep dive gardening secrets. Share this guide with every gardener you know who's tired of disappointing harvests. Together, we're building a community of growers who refuse to settle for average results. What's your biggest carrot growing challenge? Drop it in the comments below, and let's solve it together.